All right, I'm back. Gazbot, part 4 of going through a portfolio from the 90s, from when I was in art school, in high school, my art class, but we found that it's been filled with other things. The last episode was lots and lots of comic pages. Now it seems like maybe we're getting into more art assignments. I don't know. I think I've adjusted the sound so it should be a little bit better, although I guess I've, whatever. Technical things that don't matter. Let me grab this. And move the keyboard again. If you're noticing that I've been wearing the same basic outfit, hairstyle, level of needing to shave, whatever, that's because up to now, this is part 4, I've filmed these all in the same day. I keep coming back to it throughout the day and doing a little bit more here and there so that I could be done with this, put it away, and like not have to leave it out while I film other parts. So even though I might parcel this out over time, I'm going to do it all at once. So let me put the camera down like this so you can see once again. Okay, let's focus. That's not focusing very well. There we go. Okay, and we're diving back in. Okay, so this first thing, this is kind of an important thing. This is one of the first pieces of digital art I ever did. It's Ghost Rider from the 90s, the Dan Ketch. I don't remember the name of the program this was done in. Probably some sort of early MS Paint sort of thing. But I had talked about doing a class, like a summer adjunct class at Brookdale Community College near my house, where I met one of my comic friends and I learned about Wizard Magazine and a lot of other stuff. And that was one of 2 pieces I did digitally there. And I remember being amazed that you could do art on the computer at the time. Here is, this was, speaking of Wizard, this was like a free giveaway. Bart Sears, he did some comic stuff, but I mainly knew him from doing Brutes and Babes and Wizard Magazine, and this is Brute. He gave a lot of good advice, but then when he started putting out his own books, they just, I don't know, they were this. They just were not a lot of anything, and they didn't do super well, and yeah, he was very good at like superhero anatomy, but what is this? This is, I don't know what this is. This came from one of those drawing pads. It looks very Rifts-y, very semi-future. The foot's weird. I was very in love with the texture and the mechanical stuff here, obviously, but I don't know what that was for, if anything. Thought we were going to be getting into homework assignments from art class, but maybe I'm wrong. Here's another stack of paper. All right, getting back to art that's not mine. This is my buddy Mike again. I think this was supposed to be me if I was some kind of giant superhero. You can see the G for Gazbot, or just Gaz, or whatever. Here's Vermilion. And Vermilion, of course, is Sauron from the X-Men. I don't know what else to say. This is on the back of some sort of telephone directory from Market Pulse Pizza. I don't even know. I've never heard of Market Pulse Pizza. Yeah, I don't know where I got that paper from. Here's a picture of Canada. Once again on printer paper, but this time, old school printer paper, some sort of lined business paper. I was always getting weird paper from various relatives to draw on. Let's see. I have a number for Mike Asfar and Peter Bronza and Jim. I don't know who any of these people are or why I had their numbers. Paul Nick, Dane Chin, Mr. Dane King, Paul Spencer. I don't know. I don't know what this is from. Here's Bloodkill, guys. I know it's hard to imagine I came up with something so just unique, especially in the 90s. Bloodkill. Part of me wants to think that this is. I feel like, as bad as some of this stuff is, I feel like this was just a little doodle. And I'm like, it's Bloodkill, but not like, this wasn't something I was actually trying to make into a character. And then there's some weird surveying in the back. Okay, here's a picture of Spawn. That's not bad, actually, for like doing image style Spawn thing. There's that. Here is Johnny Shore, who was a side character for my, again, book that never came out, but I did actually work on to an extent where there were pages and story. This is a side character, Johnny Shore. He was supposed to be a regular guy, but I guess at some point he gets superpowers. Why he looks like a Green Lantern here, I do not know. Here's some 90s X-Men. This doesn't look like how I would draw it. I'm wondering if this was loosely based on like a Jim Lee drawing or pose. Not that it's good. I mean, the muscles are crazy and it's all weird, but it has just enough like, oh, we almost got something there, that I feel like I copied this off of something or referenced to it. Here's some 2-point indoor perspective. Stuff I still struggle with. Perspective is much easier when you're doing this. Like, I feel like this is the downfall of a lot of perspectives. Like, you learn it like this, and you're like, oh, I get it. And then try to make it into real stuff, and it's a lot harder. Like, look, 3-point perspective. That's a really cool design. Good luck making that into a city. Or I tried to put Spider-Man on. First of all, the anatomy, horrible, way too muscular, everything. But And here is more character designs on lined paper. Anakin McEnloaf, McKenna Laroff. It's like I was making up Star Wars names. Walker, Spike, Pike Blade. Yeah, I don't know what this is for, but it's all terrible stuff. Oh, here's early, I guess, concept art for the staff, the comic I talked about in the previous one. Offworlder was always the hero. This is Thunder, although usually he doesn't have a mask. So this is either later or earlier when I decided to give him a mask. And this character, I think his name was like Pulsar or something. He got added later. Going back to that same trope that, like, you know, Image Comics had a problem. Like, here's the 5 people on the team. And every issue, we're going to introduce 5 more people. That none of them have characters, just a cool new design I wanted to introduce. And I was guilty of that in spades. Here's another. I think this was supposed to be a house ad. In the tradition of Youngblood. Youngblood was maybe a year old, 2 years old at this point. Comes the staff. Stellar, tactical, assault. Oh, I said augmented fighting force, which would make more sense because they're all some sort of metahuman or augmented tech. Fighting force, so by me and my friend Frank. Again, I didn't even finish doing it. Here you can see Thunder, once again, does not have a mask, so that was an in-house ad. Here's another variation where Thunder is more front and center. Offworlder, like, yeah, I don't even know if I wanted to do a team book, but Offworlder was definitely, like, he was the guy for me, you know. And he, like I said, he was a cross between Grifter, Spawn, and Wolverine is the best way to put him. Why was he called Offworlder? My memory is that he was a soldier from Earth that, like, ended up in space. They found him on an asteroid. He should have been dead, but he had this weird healing factor. His face is all messed up, like, you know, like Deadpool or like Snake Eyes. He has glowing eyes. He has this healing factor, but he's from off-world, even though he's from Earth. I don't know. And this is more the staff. I think this guy is an enemy. And then David was essentially, he was kind of a Terminator underneath, but with a little bit of Mr. Data, but he had some emotions. I don't know. He was the step between the staff and the weapon, where he was like almost a character. Terrible Spider-Man. Terrible Spider-Man. These are comps for... Okay, so I talked about the book that was actually put out, which was Temporal Darkness Presents, and that was me, Mike, and Neil. And Neil, I don't think, had an idea for a comic. I wanted to do a comic called... I had a comic book imprint company. We all had our own companies. Not that that meant anything other than saying what it was. And mine was Temporal Comics, like time travel. And Mike's was Imperial Darkness. And so Temporal Darkness was the compromise. None of it meant anything, so here's another thing that means nothing. And Neil was in it, but my understanding was... And this is nothing against Neil if you watch this, but it was like me and Mike were like super gung-ho, and Neil was like, yeah, I'll do it too. But he didn't have like the idea of like, I'm a comic book company already, which we, you know, ridiculously did. And I think we did like 8 pages each, and he did 3 or something like that. And then later issues, he stopped contributing. But anyway, that was what this was. And then on the back, more... Oh! This was after high school. This was the year after high school. I'm sure of it. First of all, because this is not the first issue of Temporal Darkness Presents. That was in high school. We definitely did the first issue. I don't know if we got to the second. But the year after high school, I had this weird year where I was staying in a room. I had to leave my house like the second I graduated high school. And so I was staying in a room in a house that my uncle owned. And I got a job. I didn't have a car, and I got a job. Well, I had a motorcycle, but I didn't have a motorcycle license. A lot of weirdness. And I got a job at a marketing, like telemarketing, where you actually call and try to sell people stuff, but it was tele-research where I would just ask questions. But it was Merritt's Marketing. And this paper is from Merritt's Marketing. So this is actually probably like right after I graduated high school, like that summer. Teacher's Pet. Some other garbage. A couple of variations on this Teacher's Pet theme. I don't know if that was for a shirt or maybe somebody had hired me and I don't remember ever finishing it. Oh wait, maybe I did. Back in the day, like around high school time, I got a handful of people that paid me to do stuff. I remember this. Okay, this is interesting. This is Kurt Cobain. And I'm not good at likenesses now, and I never was. But this was me trying to draw Kurt Cobain off of the back of one of the CD pictures. And it was a blurry picture, but like somehow my brain didn't... It was like, oh, I'll just try to draw that. And even though it had a weird blur effect, it didn't occur to me that might not be the best thing to be, drawing reference from. Here's me practicing a lot of back muscles. Oh, Douglock. Not a very good Douglock, but from the New Mutants, X-Force, whatever. What? The original Boys Town, established at Father Flanagan's Boys Home? I don't know. You are under no obligation to pay or donate. I guess somebody gave me these stickers. A boys' home. That sounds like a weird religious orphanage from like the 20s. I don't know why I have that. And then I don't know, more weird paper. I think a lot of this paper I got from that Merritt's place. And then this guy's Vessel of Death, Husk of Vlad, Devouring, Conscience, Heart of Honor, whatever. So there's that pile. Let's keep going. This is sort of a mediocre. I feel like the last batch was so good, at least interesting, that I'm like spoiled. Yeah, there's a bunch more loose papers. Let me grab this. Okay. All right, so let me tilt this back down so you can see. Here we have The Clone. Again, I don't think it was ever anything more than this one drawing. I like the pants, the little fire pants. That's something I could see bringing back. And then, oh, okay, here we go. Cover comps. Temporal Darkness Presents. So, I had the staff, so I had 2 members of the staff. This is Ace Face, which was Mike's character, which he later put in a printed book, but very different, because this was like the mod with metal arms. This was a guy who was kind of a superhero, although not a very good one, and later on it was sort of a depressing midlife crisis kind of guy, but he actually did something with it, so kudos. And then this is... Neil had Pong and the Professor, and I guess this was Pong, but I don't know where the Professor is. This was unused, but... And on the back, some 800 numbers. Gamers. Oh! Okay, this may or may not have been paid for, but this was an ad that was put up in Hobby Masters in Red Bank. Nope. Maybe. This was put up... This might have been in Hobby Masters or somewhere else, but... this was right after high school again, the summer after high school, whatever. And I was trying to advertise, fantasy, spy, superheroes, horror. Really, I just wanted to do superheroes or horror. I didn't really have interest in those, but I had interest in getting paid to draw. And the idea was that I would, the idea is that, what would I do? I would draw their character for money. I think I charged like $10. This is all like handwritten pencil. It's not even a photocopy. To my recollection, I only did one, and it was for the daughter of the owner of the store, Hobby Masters, where I had worked, who I was kind of friends with, and that was it. But that was still one of my first paying gigs ever. This is a drawing of Superman on a backboard by a comic book artist who I think is still working, named Chris Bastia, who I met at a comic convention at a firehouse. So that was cool. Spider-Man 2099. Some weird character. Yeah, I don't know who that is. Vermilion again, the Sauron ripoff, which it's weird because it's not like I'm a huge Sauron fan. I don't know. And this is, 2 or 3 times I drew him. Here's a report card. Let me see. This was from, I can't even see it. Okay, my grades are C, B+, A, B, C+, C+, A. It's hard to tell. Wow, I got an F. My second marking period in art from Miss Prisco. I got an A, F, A. How did I get an F? I can see not doing amazingly. An F. That was the only class I ever did okay in. I'll have to ask her. We're still Facebook friends. She won't remember. Oh, so this is the actual... it's a bad photocopy of the actual cover of the first issue of Temporal Darkness Presents, which, to the best of my recollection, I thought we had it out in high school, but the more I think about it, it might have been the summer after. I didn't go to college, but those guys did, so it might have been their freshman year of college. Let me see. It's hard. Yeah, I'm not sure. But that's, Pong and the Professor. For some reason, he had a magical anchor or something. And there's Ace Face. And, of course, my team gets, this is terrible design. And what is this? I think this was sort of an introduction page in the comic. I don't know. More photos? Are there any in here? Nope. A lot of negatives that I could maybe develop and see what they are from old negatives. Put that over there. And this is Demonicus. I loved this pose, but I clearly got it from Image. And this guy reminds me a lot of... You'd think Archangel, but I think more Nemesis Enforcer from the G.I. Joe movie. And on the back, it says Boris and Julie Bell, which are... Oh, Rick Parker. Oh, this was that comic convention at the firehouse that my great aunt Sue took me to, because I remember Rick Parker was there. He worked in the Beavis and Butthead comic. Chris Bastia was definitely there, and Boris and Julie Bell I think were supposed to be there, but it was a thing where they weren't, and I later got a calendar signed by them. And this was definitely an assignment from art class. I don't know why it's not mounted, but the shapes for sure. Okay, and what is this? I almost feel like this could have been Joe Kubert. This was Joe Kubert, because on the back I see the names of people: Todd, Brian, Dan, Bernie, Toby, Jordy, Tony, Max, Tom, Kevin, Keith, Chad, Victor, Scott, Geraldo, Ben, Kelly. Some of these people I was friends with, some of them I worked with, some of them I was just in class with. But I guess this was supposed to be... This is Spawn. What's interesting, though, is this was 2 years after high school. This was the 1 year I was in Joe Kubert. And clearly this is not on Bristol. It's just on some kind of, like, I don't know, vellum, but not thick enough. And I didn't have a border, and my panel borders are just lines. There's no gutter, so it's odd. I almost seem to have regressed. Like, the storytelling's a little clearer, maybe the drawing's a little better with some spotted blacks, but it looks like I used Sharpie and like rapidograph pen, maybe, or micron pen. I don't know. It's weird materials. It's very outsider art-y. That's this. Okay, so this again, this is Joe Kubert. I didn't think I had much Joe Kubert stuff left. This was an exercise in perspective using Zipatone, and I just made some choices here. I mean, it's technically, I guess, correct, but those choices are odd. This is photocopies of a large... It's funny, I was talking about how I lost all the art from Joe Kubert, or like most of it, and I thought I had a couple photos and things like that, but I actually, a lot of these were done 11 by 17, so I made photocopies of them. And so this was, a lot of those assignments I didn't like, or at least I didn't like what I made out of them. But one of the ones I did enjoy was he had to do a whole scene in silhouette without dialogue. And I don't know if they told us it was a wife and a husband fighting or not, but that's what it was here. So you could see basically the guy comes home and he's got glasses, which might have been a cheat, and they're yelling. He gets punched. He's getting thrown around. Why does that look blurry? Hold on. Right. And then the next page, my big contribution, because I was an image maniac, was that, like, he's laying there, but he powers up, tap, 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 and then he's this big monster and punches her into a pile of blood dust. So, but I remember being pretty happy with that. And it still works. It's not a concept I would do now, but what I was trying to do. Oh, okay. This is awakening a memory. There was a guy named Tony Hong, who I was friends with through Mike, maybe? Tony Hong, is that his name? I think so. Anyway, I feel like this was me doing some kind of martial arts logo for him, and it's weird because, like, it kind of has like a somewhat accurate superhero muscular body. I mean, it's very awkward. The arms aren't attached right, but then if you take the head off, it's not perfect, but it kind of fits itself, you know? And then it's got this weird head just poked on, and that's not what he looked like either, so I don't know what that is, but I only half remember what that it was even supposed to be. And this, I guess I was just trying to do comedy. This might have been an assignment for Joe Kubert or not, but it's a bunch of people lighting fires, and it's volunteer fire department, and he's going, no, we're supposed to put fires out. It's not a good joke. I've never been great at comic strip kind of humor, even though I did one in a paper for years. But back during high school Joe Kubert days, it was like I didn't even understand why we were doing it. It was like, what's a joke? I don't know. Here's just some examples of jokes to show me, I guess, that is still here. Oh, here's a better version. Oh, so maybe, okay. So I made a mistake. Tony Hong, this had nothing to do with Mike or his friends or any college people. This was an assignment. And I guess it was an assignment for, I think Tony Hong was someone I was in class with. And so that was, again, just like an ad, like a logo for him. But you can see the one big note is that it should have been bigger. So, and this is just like really, really thick tracing paper called vellum. Side note, before I learned about blue line paper and all that kind of stuff, I had heard that people draw on vellum. And I found this tracing paper vellum. So I wasn't getting Bristol board or thick paper. I was trying to ink on vellum, which you can do, but that's not like the normal way to do things. And I felt like, well, this is what we draw on, this is what we ink on. And for a little while I did that, not knowing, you know, again, this is pre-internet searches. This was a teacher of mine who's now dead, from Joe Kubert. His name was Tex Blaisdell. He was actually an old dude then, but he was an old dude then, and then, yeah, whatever. But he was very famous. Previous to me meeting him, he was most known for doing Little Orphan Annie in the papers. And there's actually an episode of I think it's Whose Line Is It Anyway? He's on a TV show from like the 50s where he's the surprise celebrity reveal or what his job is or whatever. And I'm like, that's crazy. And he looked exactly the same, even though it had been like 30 years prior. But this was my not so great caricature of him. And but I did love this quote. It says, once a tech pen, now a suppository. So up your ass with your tech pen, because he did not. He wanted dip pens and brushes, but he didn't want what he called tech pens, which would be rapidograph or nowadays micron, things like that. There's some reference I was given. Some more reference. Yeah, a lot of comic stuff. Okay, and so here. Oh, I think what this was, we submitted a few of these roughs, and then the teacher, which was not Tex, I think it might have been John Troy, would say which one he liked best, and then we'd take that to completion, which I like that, because there's an element of reality to that. Like, that's what a client would do, and it's like not, it's teaching you not to take your first idea and go with it. So this was Lois and Clark, Superman, and it says, "You did it, Clark. You stopped him and saved this." Oh, so the joke was, he's defeated a monster, but the city is in ruins because of the thing. So that might have been the one that we went with. I don't remember. And here's Spider-Man, drawn all tangled up. It was so much easier to get around before Todd stepped in. As much as I loved Image and Todd McFarlane, they weren't above satire. My biting wit would get them. Speaking of which, here's a Max one. So this is Max trying to kill Bone. This is a very, very bad drawing of Bone. I never read Bone, and this was me just remembering what Bone looked like off of a comic I saw in a store once, but it kind of looked like the Is from Max. So this is the idea that Max is going to kill Bone because he looks like an Is. Again, just a rough concept. And I think, I think I'm going to put this sketchbook back in here. I'm going to finish the pile of loose papers, and then that's going to be the end of part 4 because we're already getting pretty long here. So this, somebody watching Quantum Leap, which is on brand for me. I think this is rough for a page from David, which, again, I never really finished. Oh, on the back, I see like thumbnails that have been, this is not my writing. I'm guessing one of my teachers wrote this. "For years, I've suffered from an accident in my past, blah, 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 blah." Wait, that sounded like a, remember, oh no, that is my writing. So it's me. I think this is a staff issue with Arsenic, which I co-created with Mike, that he was fighting Omni. And it was this whole weird thing where it was issue 4 or 5 of the staff, which had been 8 pages an issue, which had introduced 30 characters, and I'm like, and in this issue we're going to introduce Omni. It's going to be all about Omni, and the staff is like, there's a parade, but it's not the real staff. It's like this fake staff that the public gets to see, but the real staff, like, how would anybody even understand that? It was just like, instead of writing a real story with real characters, I will just have lots and lots of characters and weird plot twists that nobody could follow, and that's writing. But I guess this was me correcting myself on something there. Oh, I guess this was the final assignment, which I got a B on because, I don't know, they weren't clean enough or whatever. And here is a page. This is a proposed cover. I gotta say, as much as I'm making fun of myself, like, working in high school with that group that felt like the bullpen, and even these ones where it was mostly just me and Mike, that was like some of the most fun I ever had working comics, despite making no money and being terrible and nobody ever seeing them. Like, that's something that's really missing as an adult, making art for money, whether it's, even if it's just stuff I enjoy versus, getting published, not getting published, just for money, whatever. That sort of sense of community and collaboration, like, as much as I want the freedom to express myself and have my own ideas, and it's definitely better to do that than working for some big corporation where you get no input. Working with a team, it's fun. It's just fun to bounce ideas off each other and be excited about things together, and you say one thing, they say another. Like, anyway, this is terrible. This is a proposed cover. I don't know why I started drawing people with these weird... Anyway, so I gotta finish up here. There's Zepheltot, another random character I probably drew like 6 times. Another proposed cover for... Oh, we changed the name. After 4 issues of Temporal Darkness Presents, we changed it to Clockwork Comics Presents. But it was still number 5. Why? I don't know. I have those books somewhere. Maybe I'll go through those one day in a little more detail. This was a proposed cover. It's got the face by Mike. This is like all his characters, and then mine on the back, including the weapon. I introduced the weapon in this, and I remember that cover being fun because I think we both, it was very Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird style, where we both kind of penciled it and both kind of inked it. So some of, like, it was like he penciled and I inked, but all in one big drawing, not like on a certain page or something. Okay, and so here's the weapon. His stance is quite odd. Still not great, but, getting there. It looks like one of those Extreme Justice figures that they put out at KB. Well, I guess everywhere, but I always think of him as KB in the 90s. And this was the weapon. He normally wore a trench coat. It's weird that he's so put together because the whole idea is that it's a guy that found, like, the shreds of a super suit and then he put it on without really understanding it, how it worked. And then this looks like some kind of finished something for art. Clash of the Titans, I got Spider-Man and Batman, and this is Valiant and Image and Dark Horse. So I guess it's just like the Cola Wars, but like the comic book wars. And this was a final or semi-final somewhere. I don't know. There's more in here, so I guess there's going to be a part 5. Until then, I will see you. I've been Gazbot. I hope you're enjoying this. And I wish I could be in a bullpen in high school again.